What's up guys, today we're going to be going over the Salvation's Grip, which is a new stasis exotic grenade launcher. And in this video I will be going over everything you will need to know about this weapon and why at first glance it seems like it's one of the worst exotics ever in Destiny, but with a trained eye I believe it will be one of the best weapons in the entire game, and that will be what I'm trying to convince you of throughout the video. And before we begin, I am now sponsored by G Fuel, which was one of my long-time goals. And to celebrate my partnership with them and Beyond Light launch, my code is going to be 30% off through Monday. So it's a good opportunity to try out G Fuel if you've never had it before. Or if you're a long-time customer of G Fuel, it's a good time to restock up. Anyways, you can click the link in the description or in the comments and it'll take you straight there and automatically apply my discount code. Anyways, let's go ahead and begin with the exotic review. So Salvation's Grip is the exotic that you get from the Drifter. It's a questline that is pretty short and pretty straightforward. I don't have any of the steps recorded, but if I remember correctly, it was pretty easy. Just follow exactly what it says to do. And now look at an exotic perk on this weapon. Press mouse 1, hold to charge, release to fire. This weapon's projectile creates stasis crystals and freeze nearby targets. Then the second perk on this weapon, Flash Freeze. Charging this weapon increases the freeze radius and amount of stasis crystals created. So look at those two things in game. If you just tap the fire button, it creates this very small crystal. The longer you hold down the fire button, the larger these crystals will become. And eventually, if you hold it all the way, there is a max cap obviously, and that crystal will be very big. And these crystals are not only placed on ground surfaces, you can pretty much put these wherever you want. As long as you see that blue reticle, you can pretty much place it wherever that reticle can go. So on buildings, on ceilings, pretty much wherever. And the second part of this exotic is that it will freeze nearby enemies to the crystals whenever you place it down, which is also very good and will pair nicely with some more stasis abilities. So overall, the weapon pretty much just does the two generic things that stasis does, creates crystals and also freezes enemies. So this weapon is an exotic power weapon. So looking at the damage on Carl, well, it's for like 200, which is not a lot. But the good news is I found a way to make Carl stop running around and throwing his rockets at me. So I guess that's good news, but this weapon definitely isn't a DPS or damage output weapon. When you shoot the crystals, that is pretty much the bulk of the damage. So what is this weapon used for? Well, you can climb with it. You know, you just keep placing crystal over crystal over crystal, and you can go up to the moon, you know, get a high vantage point and scout out the area. I mean, that's kind of useful, right? So what else is this weapon used for? Well, it's also pretty good at trolling your teammates through hallways. For example, right here, a doorway, you can easily block the entire doorway, so they'll have to waste ammo to get through or wait it out. And what it's extremely good for is whenever you're by a lift, you can place it on the wall, and anyone who goes up the lift will die it the second they touch it. So I probably shouldn't be telling thousands of people about this, because my fire team alone has me already looking at every single lift and checking for crystals every time, and this will probably just make that worse. So that pretty much sums up the main part of the weapon. So moving on to what makes this weapon really good and what makes it maybe the best exotic in the game is the way it pairs with all of your stasis abilities. So obviously on each character you have your melee, you have your grenade, then you have your aspect of choice, then also multiple fragments. And pretty much what you have to do is treat Salvation's Grip as a third ability. So along with your grenade and melee, pretty much treat the Salvation's Grip as that third ability. So just like you would use your melee or your grenade to freeze things or create crystals, that is pretty much exactly the same thing that this will do. And the thing about this weapon is it pretty much is treated like an ability in the game. It will proc all the stasis perks on your subclass, on your aspects, and your fragments, which is insanely good and is pretty much the easiest way to have stasis abilities up at all times. So pretty much the true purpose of this weapon is a way to enhance your stasis builds and pretty much have a third or fourth stasis ability depending on if you're counting your class ability or not. So this will be something I might use a lot in stasis builds in the future. But just quickly looking at what I got going on my warlock right now, I have the Ice Flare Bolt's stasis aspect, which is shattering a frozen target spawns seekers that track and freeze other nearby targets. Then along with that, I have 2 fragments. You can choose 2 out of 6 fragments this week. And the first one I have is the one where gain a bonus to weapon damage after freezing a target with stasis. And the second one I have is shattering a stasis crystal boosts your grenade recharge rate. Shattering additional crystals increase the duration of this benefit. And all of these things work with the Salvation's Grip, which is really cool. So pretty much the way this build works is I just make crystals and freeze nearby enemies with those crystals. Then I shatter the crystal, which will give me that improved ability regen, which is for my grenade. Then also when I freeze enemies, I get the damage boost. So with this exotic, I pretty much have both of those buffs up at all times. And that's pretty much as deep as I'm going to go into the build for this video. I plan on making my first stasis build on Saturday for the Shadebinder Warlock, and I'm not quite sure exactly what I'm going to be using in that video. I have a few really good ideas, and I'm not sure yet which one I want to do. And honestly, I might just put both of them in the video. But as you watch some of the strike gameplay at the end of this video, you'll kind of see what my ideas are and where my head is going for that video. So if you're itching for a really good stasis build, definitely look forward to Saturday where I put out my first one for the season. Anyways, I think the Salvation's Grip is obviously a really good meme weapon. It's really good for trolling your teammates, but at the same time, I do think it'll be one of the best exotics in the game, especially for stasis builds, because of the fact that it's pretty much a third ability that you have at all times as long as you have ammo, and with the way it interacts with your aspects and fragments and works just like an ability would, I think it's gonna work really well for those stasis builds. The only issue I have with this weapon is that it pretty much leaves you in a pretty bad spot in terms of damage output. So if you're doing something with a boss, for example, like an ordeal or a raid or something like that, you pretty much are limited to whatever special you have equipped. So you can use something like a sniper rifle or even like the first in last out select shotgun from last season, and those options are good. But there's some exotic heavies that will obviously be better for raid bosses and things like that. So this weapon will definitely be for just pure like ad clear activities where you want to really take advantage of all of your stasis abilities. Anyways, like I said, I'll be talking more about this weapon probably on Saturday when I have it in one of my builds. As I'm making this commentary, I think I decided I'm going to have 2 builds in that video. One with this weapon, then one with a more traditional DPS option. Anyways, that's going to be it for the commentary. The rest of the video will just be some strike gameplay. Make sure to use my code Ehroar on G Fuel for 30% off through Monday. Also, if you play on Steam and still need Beyond Light or any edition of Destiny 2, check out my Nexus store in the description and the comments. Anyways, thanks for watching. Catch you guys next time.